This is Keith Robine from Kootenay Avalanche Courses and State of the Snowpack. It is Thursday, December 28th, 2023. So kind of interesting snowpack. Everyone's, of course, focused on the lack of snow for this time of year. We've got a snowpack here of about 108 centimeters. Not too bad, but obviously there should be more. This is fairly low, below average snow. However, it's always interesting to talk about what is going on within the snowpack, and if anybody's been looking at the danger ratings on Avalanche Canada in this region, which is kind of the southern part of the Kootenays, the danger is low, low, low right now. And there are actually no avalanche problems listed. It's interesting because low, low, low does not mean no danger. It just means the danger is low. So the chance of avalanches is relatively unlikely, and consequences also associated with that fairly unlikely. However, it's nature, and sometimes we get surprises. So today, there was an avalanche triggered, a size 1.5, and the failure plane was on the December 6th rain crust. So let's take a look now at this snowpack here. So what we have is we have some new snow in this upper region that fell kind of last Friday, and then some other snow that fell here in the middle of December. Not big amounts, it should be more. And then right here we have this rain crust. And this is the big rain event that happened around December 4th, 5th, 6th. And it's quite prominent. So, I mean, if we take a look here, that is roughly about an 8-centimeter crust. And in some places it's 8 centimeters, some places it's even bigger. And one of the reasons that the avalanche danger is low, low, low is that in this region, in this part of the region, it's suspected that this layer has been taking care of the problems below in a concept that we call bridging. It's really difficult for us skiers on top of the snowpack or snowmobilers to actually penetrate through the snowpack, through the crust layer, to get at a layer that you can probably see down here. And this is the surface hoar layer that came and was deposited during that long dry period, the second half of November. And during that dry period, surface hoar forms on the surface of the snow like a frost or like equivalent of dew, and it was pretty big. And you can sort of see here that it's pretty big. When we've been doing tests on it, it does collapse when I isolate the column. So you might look at this next test and go, geez, you know, that looks really bad. But when it does collapse, it sort of mushes into the rest of the snowpack. And doesn't really want to slide very easily. Plus, it's you know, a lot of effort to isolate all of this and get this to go. The avalanche that happened today, interestingly enough, and it's the only avalanche we've seen in this part of the region for quite a while, actually happened on top of the crust. And the reason we know that is because we were able to look at the bed surface, and it was this really firm, kind of impenetrable crust. It's really thick and hard. And why would that happen? The snow that fell on top of the crust happened in sort of, I like to say, like an Alaskan style. It started warm, and that's what caused the rain, and then gradually got cooler and then deposited snow on top of it. Typically, when you have that change in temperatures during a precipitation event from warm to cool, it helps things bond. And for 22 days, you know, this has been bonded pretty well. And I'm not saying it's all changed now, but it might be changing a little bit, because what we get on top of this crust, again, a little bit of a technical term, is micro temperature gradients. And those temperature gradients can change the crystals right on top of the crust and make them a little bit more sugary or faceted. And I don't think it's going to show up in this test, but we did see it in a couple isolated pockets today in some steep terrain that pulled out size 1.5 down about this depth of the snowpack. So we'll just do this test. I'm expecting to see a layer here, which is some sort of maybe minor surface hoar that's probably not going to cause us problems. But the big surface hoar will come down here later. And there it went right there. So this layer didn't really show up in this test, but this surface hoar layer went with what we would call a sudden collapse. And like I said, the good news is that, you know, it collapses, it's planar, but it doesn't come shooting off super easily. And as I said, we've isolated this column, so it's not quite as bad as it seems. The layer that I said was a problem is above the crust, and I doubt I can get it to isolate. Yeah, see, it just doesn't want to break. Sometimes when you do this, you can get it to break. There, it broke in this case, but that was below the crust. But the layer that happened today was above the crust. So it was a pretty isolated thing. As I said at the beginning, low danger, isolated avalanches are possible, certainly not widespread. This layer in this test is pretty well bonded, which is what we've been seeing, but something to monitor as time goes on. Unfortunately, the longer we go without a whole lot of snow on top of these layers, the more they can change. Metamorphose is a term that's used over time and actually go from pretty good to maybe a little bit worse, especially around this crust. If we get enough snow over January, hopefully we can put all of this to bed. Time will tell, and fingers crossed for more snow. Thanks.